Peace, family. We are now live. I know y'all excited. Y'all was waiting for this one. This is a live we certainly need in a time when distractions are at, an all-time high. Family, I went on my Instagram page and all I seen was Trump. I said, oh shit. I said, what happened to the spiritual people? Where did my spiritual people go? They just disappeared, Erin. I was like, they just left. I said, what happened? So this show is a reminder for the family about our purpose, our mission, our destiny, why we're here, the reason this whole, and the Trump thing, that's part of the whole story, but it gets a little deeper than that. Let me get to a commercial real quick, y'all, before I bring my guest on. Get comfortable. Get to this quick commercial about gathering the masses. We'll be right back in 1 minute, family. Get comfortable and make sure you hit that like button. Be right back.
Yo. I fought plenty battles, caught many arrows, flossed plenty apparel, resembling the pharaohs, cemented in the gravel, extensive in my travels. Not to mention, ascension is my cattle. Cash cow, we milking it. Laugh now, we killing it. Last round, we still in it. Axe round, we healing shit. Hands down, we killing it. No pass down, it's silk in this. Pack your bags, take this pilgrimage. Guaranteed to be epic like Gilgamesh. Gilded flesh and shields with crests. I'ma have to kill you if I reveal the rest. All I know is when life try you, you better kill that test. That's the only real that the real respect. Niggas went from dealing death to flipping moss to heal the flesh. That's the real adept. That's the illest flex. That reveals what's next.
My investors don't need to be angels. They could be the archetypes of the darkest type. Archangels who are dark and mango, like Tony Starks, and monsters like Thanos. Bangles need to be strangled and quantum entangled. And them carrots that sponsors a dangle. Only built for these bust down Cuban links. Only fans.
All right, family. Without further ado, well, before I bring on my guests, make sure y'all get your live stream pay-per-view tickets to gather in the masses. The link is in the description. Y'all do not want to miss this event. This event is historical, nothing like it in the world. And with that being said, want to welcome back, here to bring us some positive, uplifting, enlightening energy in these times. Erin, Lyons, welcome back to the show. Welcome back, sis.
Happy to be back. Excited to dive in. I feel a lot of momentum around this conversation. So yeah. I want to take it there. I want to take it beyond where we've gone before and really get people on the frequency that they need to be on, to just not be distracted by just all of this foolery, clownery going on this planet. So let's do it.
Indeed. And before we get started, I want to I want y'all to give a big congratulations to Erin. Her life is popping right now. She she's pregnant with a star seed. She's engaged. I mean, her life is is golden. She's living life like it's golden. So the things she's talking about is reflected in life. Give her a big congratulations. Give her a big what's up. Whatever you got to do with the chat. Send love and energy. All right. Yeah. And you keep doing your thing, Erin.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Hey, let's get right into this thing, Erin. Let's get right into this thing. All right. So the name of the show is Why We Came to Earth. One of the big topics of discussion in this new age community and the spiritual community surrounding our soul and surrounding our spirit is the concept of abundance. But what I want to ask you about is when I see a movie, have you ever seen a movie Coming to America with Eddie Murphy?
Of course.
All right. So the movie Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, Prince Hakeem was rich beyond riches. He appreciated the concept of limitation. Now, I know Bashar, we both know about Bashar the Chandler. He talks about how we are the masters of limitation. And also it appears, Erin, that Source, what we call Source, appreciates limitation because Source keeps pretending to be limited in this experiment of limitation. So I want to ask you, should we, as much as we give thanks and honor and gratitude for abundance, should we also give thanks and honor and gratitude and appreciation for our limited experience? Should we say, I'm thankful for my limitations as much as we say, I'm thankful for my abundance here on earth, Erin?
So when it comes to choosing to be here on earth, I want us to see this in sort of two core pillars. First pillar for everybody is the joy of experience. Source experiencing reality, existence, creation through you, through us, through each and every one of us individually. And that is the highest joy. The highest joy is for the soul to experience, regardless of if it's abundance or what you would perceive to be lack or limitation. Source is just recording this infinite possibility in, let's just say, the records of all that is. Okay.
Yeah.
So source loves experience, your soul loves experience. So even if right now you're not experiencing abundance or you're not happy with the conditions of your reality, if you were to begin to just appreciate existence itself, you would transmute that limitation back into abundance. You would actually transmute it. You would purify it. You would crystallize the experience, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. No, that's facts. That's facts. But let me ask you this, Erin. Hasn't source, if it's like recording or this whole earthly experience, hasn't source experienced enough duality so that it doesn't have to go through another Kali Yuga again and again? Because it's like we're the same characters, just in different avatars: the good guy, the bad guy, the lover, the fighter. Hasn't source experienced enough of this realm where that we don't have to keep going through 1,000 more Kali Yugas, Erin?
So this takes me into the second core pillar I wanted to talk about, which is your own soul curriculum. This is not necessarily source. This is our free will, right?
Oh.
So source had the original idea, has the original organic idea to create, and then to allow that creation to expand into infinity. And a part of that infinity is the duality, or perhaps the loop of duality in some dimensions, where souls are still playing out certain experiences until they've evolved to a certain level, which is essentially what's happening, has been happening here on Earth. So it's not source attached to the drama in your life or the chaos in your life. It is you. And because
Interesting.
source loves you unconditionally, it
Interesting.
allows you to experience that as many times as you need
Wow.
until you, as a soul, um, have just expanded enough from that unique type of curriculum, that unique type of dynamic and energy.
Indeed, indeed. So, I mean, so if Earth is based on perception, Earth is, it's a subjective realm. Heaven and hell is in your mind, depending on your state of mind and your awareness. Some people would say, "Oh, this is a prison planet." Some people would say, "Oh, we came here to experience heaven on earth," depending on how like I said, your perception. Why do you think the ancients that we admire so much, who built all these magnificent statues that can't be emulated right now with our technology, it seems like they just wanted to get the hell up out of here? They was like, no reincarnation. I want to go back to this realm. We do not want to reincarnate at no cost. Why do these people who were so sophisticated spiritually, it seemed like they despise reincarnation so much? Why is that? Because it's just based on perception. So they could have experienced heaven or hell while they were down here.
Well, a lot of the advanced beings who came here at different eras and periods to give information are here reincarnated. A lot of the folks here are those same souls. I know I'm one of those same souls. I can see that you're one of those same souls. So the thing is, a lot of these beings left, and I'm getting the two examples of Anunnakis and Atlanteans left because humans were not in the consciousness to understand that they were not gods and that they were not above them, that they were actually equal. And
Right.
so when you're in a more advanced consciousness and you're coming to a planet where the frequency isn't where it needs to be, and you're trying to assist, but beings are resistant. They're doing things like sacrifices. Like, that's why the Mayans are not around anymore, because they were doing sacrifices and things like that to the Anunnakis, who they saw as gods. So the Anunnakis went, we're leaving this. You guys don't get it yet. And some of us are back. That's what I'll say about that.
Very, very, very interesting. Another question about, because this concept of abundance is one in which caused a lot of confusion to people down here in this realm, whether it be guilt or programming or whatever. In terms of abundance and wealth, Erin, let's say we have abundance and wealth right here. and we have companionship right here. Now, the people who have abundance and wealth, Erin, they say it's lonely at the top. And I'm not talking about 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of people say it's lonely at the top. So do you think, would you, I mean, just personally from your experience and you climbing up the ladder of success and everything, do you see more abundance from where you came and your limited experience versus where you're going now and your spirit expanding and learning everything that you have learned?
Okay, so are you asking me, because I heard two questions. One, is it truly lonely at the top? And second question, have I experienced more abundance as I've continued to expand?
Well, as you have continued to expand, has your perception of abundance changed in which you realize you probably might have been more abundant, maybe having less money, let's say it like that, or just being around people, that was the ultimate wealth?
For me personally, I can't say that experiencing more financial abundance has made me miss times when I was not financially abundant. But I understand that for some people, it may help them recognize that the things that they idolized and put on a pedestal, it wasn't the real wealth. So I absolutely have had experiences where I could recognize that the quality of certain relationships or family or health, these different types of things are equivalent to what we want to call wealth or abundance. Whereas when I was younger and you're just like, I just want to get out of these circumstances, I'm just, I'm tired of lacking all of this stuff. You only think in terms of money. So yes.
Indeed. How many times, and I asked this question, I did it, and I love asking all my guests this question. I just recently asked Rod Hayes this question. How many times have you been to this realm, Erin?
Source is just giving me many times in many
times.
in many forms, even in okay, Source is showing me like helping to form the earth itself.
Wow.
Helping to form this solar system itself, like from a high oversoul level, being that involved in the experience here. So it's beyond what we would call a linear number.
Was Earth one of the first planets formed in a solar system? Is Earth, is it extremely important in the grand scheme of things? Like, how important is Earth in the grand scheme of things compared to Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn and Mars and all the other planets?
In the eyes of Source, all equally important, but what Source is talking about right now is it always starts with a sun, and then planets project out from suns, and then they sort of they cool down and then become a planet, and then become inhabitable just based on its evolutionary track. But there's no hierarchy for Source, so it's not like, well, this planet is more important. Now, what we will say is for this particular moment in time, with the genetic library of Earth and all of the intergalactic DNA that is embedded within the human genetic pool, that is what makes Earth very interesting. That doesn't exist elsewhere in this solar system in terms of the genetic diversity. So many of you have probably heard this, that so many beings just in this universe are highly interested in what happens here, and Earth is very, very very safeguarded. So for the folks who are like, this is a prison planet and this and that, it's not happening. It's extremely safeguarded. It's like an all hands on deck sort of mission happening here.
So you do a lot of channeling, Erin. Do you think that some of these entities, like you just said, these entities are very interested about what's going on this planet? Do you think that some of these entities that you have become familiar with in all these years of channeling, do you think it's possible that they are now reincarnating through you as your child to have a more personal experience with you? You laughing? Like I said, do you think that's a possibility?
I mean, everything is possible. Okay, so what I'll say is my son that I'm carrying right now has been my spirit guide this entire lifetime. Okay.
What? I'm sorry to cut you off. Was he like your childhood invisible friend or something like that?
No, I wasn't
Okay.
always aware of the spirit. But over most recent years, I began having more conversation, understanding that the time was coming for me to carry a child and all of that, just contractually of what he's here to bring in. But he had always been a spirit guide, even when I didn't know it.
Right. Indeed. Wow. Amazing. So do you think is Earth out of all I heard you refer to Earth before as Earth school. Is this like the most difficult school in the cosmos? Is this like the last level of the video game? I remember when I was young, there was Mike Tyson Punch Out, and you had to beat Mike Tyson to beat the game. If you master the Earth game, is that like you the master of the cosmos? you don't have to, anywhere you go, you running shit because you done mastered Earth. Is that how this works?
Earth is definitely one of those places. However, there are other places that carry a similar vibration. That's how we'll explain it. Carry a similar vibration and opportunity set for a soul to experience a diverse range of duality. But other beings really do respect you when you have experiences here on Earth because of the I'm hearing this as the degree of amnesia, the degree of forgetting who you are, and literally being so knee deep in distortion and illusion and control. It's really hard to awaken while you are on Earth, but there are many other planets that hold a similar frequency. Actually, there are some that are worse than Earth at this point.
Ooh. Would you name one, or is that like?
I'm not getting a particular name. It's just more of like a vibration I'm feeling. Like I'm seeing like a very dystopic. Okay, think about Hunger Games is what I'm hearing.
Right. Wow. So did you ever, now this, I'm curious about this. Once again, you do a lot of channeling, and there's a lot of arguing on the internet about whether the earth is round or flat. Have you ever asked source or entities about whether the earth was round or flat, since that's such a big debate on the internet?
It depends on the dimension from which you are perceiving. But for today, this is literally what source is giving me. For today, the earth is round. And you all need to, the earth is round.
Oh, indeed. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions about, they call this realm, when we incarnate down here or in the dream realm, they say we come down here and our soul is dreaming. But while we're down here, when we go to sleep at night, we also dream. So it's like a dream within a dream. There's a concept in Egypt called, they say when you leave this realm, there's the scales of Mayat where they weigh your they weigh your heart against a feather to see how heavy your heart is. If this realm is an illusion in a dream, and when you dream, it's a dream, I'm wondering, all of it is an illusion. So do you get judged by your dreams in your dream, in this dream? Or is it, you get what I'm saying? Like, say you dream at night. Like, let me give an example. Erin dreams at night. Erin is a magnificent soul while she's awake. But when she dreamed tonight, she dreamed like she did something bad to somebody. If you leave this realm, is that also judged against you? Because that was in your mind somewhere for you to have even dreamt that. So are you judged by your dreams that you have at night, just like you are during your normal waking hours?
The only essence that can truly judge you is yourself, because all is self.
Okay.
If in your highest state of consciousness, you are source. So there's nothing outside of source that can judge source and say that was good, that was bad, that was negative, like in terms of how humans think. Right. It's only experience. It's all just experience. When you accept that within the game of existence and experience, there's just a range of things that can occur and happen, and you are not in you don't operate in self-judgment, that's when you enter the realm of being unconditional, which is where source resides. Your highest ultimate self is only ever in pure unconditional acceptance of any and everything that arises within the game or within the dream. Because if it's just a dream, right, and I know it's just a dream, then why would I judge it?
Indeed, indeed. But do you think that may cause certain people to do bad acts, what we call bad acts, because they say, hey, it's just a dream. I'm gonna, do this to my wife, or I'm gonna do this to my husband, or I'm gonna do this to my child. It's just a dream anyway. So do you think that's a dangerous concept to teach the masses, that this is just a dream, this is just an illusion, because they could easily take advantage of that?
That is the Luciferian way of thinking.
Ooh.
So there are beings in the universe who think that way, and we
Yeah.
call them service to self beings, meaning they have distorted the original law of one, which is that everything is me and I am everything. So what I do to myself, I do to another. But there's I'm seeing this as like there can be certain dysfunctions that arise in an evolutionary path for a certain species or collective or group that would bring them into that luciferic thought. Okay, and it's also influenced by the lower angelic, the fallen angels would be the ones who are implanting ideas like that and creating confusion, because when you're operating in source consciousness, love is the feeling that permeates your being. So you wouldn't even think I'm going to do something horrible just because I can, because you would understand via the law of one, what I do to another, I do to myself.
Indeed. Yeah, no, definitely. Even the law of one, it's like, I wondered this before, Erin, with the law of one and the golden rule, treat others as you treat yourself. And I wonder about these laws and putting them in proper context to our society now. A lot of people don't like themselves. So when they think about that law of one, they're like, they don't like themselves. So how can they like somebody else? You know what I'm saying? How would you describe and try to teach the law of one to somebody who does not like themselves, and it'll tell you out to your face, I don't like myself? How would you explain that law to that person?
When it comes to cultivating an unconditional relationship with yourself on a very grounded level, what I always tell people is you have to start liking yourself. That person who's like, I don't even like myself, or I don't love myself, it's only because they're operating in an illusion of things that they've been programmed to believe about themselves. When that illusion is cleared and you see yourself as infinite intelligence, and you see yourself as infinite beauty and abundance and all of these miraculous things about the multiverse, it will be impossible to not like yourself, and thus impossible to not love yourself. So start with the basics. Some people here and now don't like themselves because maybe you perceive yourself to be a failure, or whatever the case may be. I would encourage you to, day by day, identify small things that you can start appreciating about yourself. Even if it's, I bake the best cookies in the world. I promise you, if you identify that, you notice that, you acknowledge that, and you keep building on top of the things that you like about yourself, it will develop into self-love. And then what happens is you start seeing yourself in the way that Source has always saw you.
Very interesting.
It takes practice.
Right. Another question about the whole concept of dreams in this world, in the earth realm. When we've probably had thousands of dreams, people dream probably 5 dreams a night. Sometime they live to be 50, 60. They don't have thousands of dreams, and we don't remember any of them. Do you think our soul will forget our lifetime because it is a dream, just like we forget our dreams at night? Because I'm telling you, Erin, sometimes I love my son so much, I'd be like, oh my God, I don't ever want to forget him. If it's a billion years from now, I do not want to forget this experience with my son Sirius. So I'm just wondering, like, the way we forget our dreams, are we going to forget these lifetimes?
Okay. It's not a forgetting in the way that humans forget. It's more so because the soul is so infinite and so present, it will tap into that memory when necessary. So the example that I'm getting is, it's like when you're cramming to study for an exam and you're like, I need to remember everything. I need to remember everything. The soul doesn't operate that way. The soul can tap into a memory, even relive an experience. If that desire arises, it can do that. So it doesn't have to be attached to, I need to hang on to this memory and this experience forever, because in the moment that it becomes a desire and it's available as a soul, you can just relive that moment. You can just access that memory. You can just tap into the recorded experience of what played itself out.
Indeed. All right, so I'm glad we're covering different areas like abundance in this realm, the concept of abundance, and the whole dream idea, the dream realm in this earth realm, because these are important concepts and topics that confuse a lot of people. Now, the question I have for you, Erin, and I love asking these questions because you do a lot of challenge, so I love the answers that I get. I feel like they're more heartfelt than versus somebody that's reading it straight out of a book. Now, a lot of the quantum physicists talk about the brainwave state, alpha, beta. It's alpha, beta. What's the other one? Alpha, beta, theta, and theta. So they say right before you go to sleep, Erin, you should say positive affirmations to yourself, because it will go straight to your subconscious realm, and your subconscious will work on whatever you want to manifest while you're asleep, because you said it right before your avatar went to sleep. What I want to ask you about is, right before your avatar permanently goes to sleep and you do what we call die, what if you know you're dying and you say affirmations then? How beneficial is that to your soul, your spirit, and your avatar if you're saying these affirmations before you permanently go to sleep? Will it take you to the realm that you're saying the affirmations to?
In the event that this were to happen, like someone's doing their positive affirmations and they're going to die tonight.
Right.
The benefit would actually be that they would perhaps limit the possibility of them experiencing something negative when they're sort of in that astral space. So what we're talking about here is, when people die, they can create the experience that they believe first before going through what Source calls the tunnel of lives, which everybody goes through the tunnel of lives, and then they arrive at their book of souls before they decide where they want to go next, right? However, let's say you believe that you were a horrible person and you did bad things and you don't deserve to go to heaven, or all, this type of thought. You will manifest the experience of that hellscape. You will manifest the experience of whatever was deeply embedded in your psyche before you eventually go through the tunnel of lives. So if you're doing positive affirmations on the night of your death, I would venture to say that you would have a more positive experience. But then again, it just depends on the belief, because affirmations, when you're practicing affirmations, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily encoded as a belief, right? You could be doing these affirmations, but really be believing that you're a bad person. And if it hasn't fully solidified into your identity, you might create that experience for yourself. Like,
one of the things they say, Erin, and one of the main things that people look to be in this realm is successful. And they say one of the traits of successful people, I don't know how true this is, but they say is that they are delusional. They say some of them, a lot of them are psychopaths, because they're able to just completely, tune out of reality and focus on something. Now, analyzing Donald Trump, well, let's say a lot of us think he's a horrible guy. When I look at Donald Trump, sometimes I say, Trump is so crazy. I think he believes all this shit. Like when he talked about alternative fact, like I really think Trump believes some of the shit he say. Like he's able to collapse waves in a way that I haven't seen a lot of people collapse waves in a quantum field. I think he believes some of this shit. So if Trump believes he's as amazing as he say he is, when he leaves this realm, does he go to one of the higher realms because his belief system really believed he was I'm an amazing individual. You know what I'm saying? So does he go with, like, you might see him and you be like, how the hell did Trump get here? And Trump be like, Erin, I believe the same thing you believe, Erin. That's why I'm here. And you're like, damn, that's how this thing works.
So this is me being, by the way, completely neutral politically.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to say is there are certain beings on this planet who understand universal laws via various secret societies that they've been groomed inside of, certain networks of people. And when you look at Trump, you have to ask yourself, how is this person still standing?
Right,
okay.
right.
There's a reason why. So this radical belief that you're talking about that people look at as being crazy or insane or you know, all of his rhetoric and all of his philosophy and how he shows up, it's all intentional. I want you to understand it's all intentional to create a certain energy. This is a being that understands manifestation, that understands how to create a timeline shift. So it doesn't matter if you think Trump is great or not, or if you agree with him or not, or if you believe he works for the light or the dark or whatever. It doesn't matter. You need to understand when you're dealing with people who understand energy, and because they understand energy, they affect change in the matrix. And that is what he is a master at doing.
Indeed. No, definitely. Indeed. Let's talk about the ego for a second, Erin. I've heard a lot of spiritual teachers say, in giving advice, they say where you get the most resistance is where your sole purpose lies. So, and that's the reason why you're getting, it's like a navigation tool to recognize exactly what you're supposed to do in life is where you're getting a lot of resistance from. Sure. My question to you would be when it comes to the ego, like let's say I wanted to be a basketball player and I kept getting resistance and becoming a basketball player from my ego, something would happen, all types of stuff come up. I want to ask, and this happens a lot. What's the ego's beef with your soul purpose? Like the ego seemed like it got something really against your soul, your destiny. Like, does it have like a personal vendetta against what your personal your destiny is?
Well, it's sort of the duality that you need for this experience. Like, if everything just happened easily or unfolded without struggle, without contrast, without conflict, it would actually defeat the purpose of being here. So in that way, the ego is your worst enemy and your best friend built into one. The goal
I like
is
how
that
you said that. Wow.
when you integrate them, and you experience total shadow, because it's your own shadow, total shadow integration, you can get your ego on board with anything that you want. You can even work around the resistance of your ego. An example I want to use of this is, let's say somebody believes, I have to work really hard before I receive a certain amount of money. That's their ego believing in limitation or a particular prerequisite. But you as the observer in the observer seat, if you just accept this is where my ego is, and you work around that and you go, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then that will help me believe that I'll manifest this. If you consciously do that, that's you learning how to work around your ego, learning how to accept where your ego is, slowly develop it, slowly rehabilitate it without being totally consumed by it. The issue with the ego is that people think that they are the ego.
Okay.
So they don't experience, so like for myself, for an example, I experience Erin as the personality and Erin as source simultaneously.
Okay.
And in doing so, I can go back and forth between the two at will. That means my ego can never truly create suffering for me, because the moment the attachment arises, I go, you know what? I don't want to be Erin anymore. I'm going to go back to being source.
Ooh. She good, y'all. She good, y'all, ain't she? She good at this. Do you think, would you say the louder your ego, the brighter your light? Like, does the ego get louder the more light you shine it upon this world? And somebody who has a small, tiny ego that doesn't talk that much is because they don't have enough light or enough chi, that the ego doesn't even care that much to try to affect what it's doing?
No.
Okay.
The louder the ego means the greater the attachment or attachment. What I mean by this is when you're really attached to something, and we've all experienced this, where we wanted something so bad that to the point that we felt like without this thing we would be nothing, or life would be miserable, or for whatever reason you're placing such a strong attachment. Because you have this strong attachment, your ego is just going to get louder and louder and louder and confirm and validate to you that you do in fact need this thing. The opposite happens when you detach. When you detach from things and you go, and this is really like a fifth dimensional way of living, where you say maybe, but maybe not. Everybody can tune into that right now. Something that you want. If you start telling yourself maybe, but maybe not, recognize how quiet your ego gets. Because it doesn't have anything to it doesn't have anything to attach itself to make you feel validated. You just let it go. You said, I'm complete with or without it. So the ego is going to get really quiet.
Interesting. So one of the you've heard of Saint Germain before, right?
Yeah.
So one of the affirmations that I see constantly, I got some of his books, the I Am Discourses. And one of the affirmations that is said repeatedly in the book is I am perfection. Now, and I'm sure our higher self is perfection, but what I want to ask you, Erin, a lot of people may have problems saying that affirmation because they like, how the hell am I perfect in this realm? I've had this happen to me, that happened to me, that happened to me, that happened, this happened. I didn't get this, I didn't get that. What does perfection look like in a realm like Earth where there's a time delay? So somebody can say, oh, even though this happened, I'm still perfection. What would you describe perfection like in a realm that has time in it?
Okay. Perfection is not the condition of a particular thing that your ego wants to believe validates you, makes you lovable, makes you abundant, etc. Perfection is the acceptance of whatever arises on the path.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's the difference. Because whatever arises on the path is your soul's curriculum. It is showing up, and it's about how you choose to relate to it. So this is why two people can experience the same thing and get a different outcome or triumph through that experience differently. If I say this is less than perfect, then I create separation within my own being, and then I will generate from my consciousness, I will manifest the experience of an outcome that feels less than perfect. If I say, okay, this is not ideally the condition that I would prefer to experience, but I accept it as being a perfect part of my journey, it will turn into perfection.
Like that. You know what? And that reminds me of something that I've learned to incorporate in my life. So I realized that sometimes things that happen to me, you know how they I'm mad when it's happening, but 5 years later I laugh at it. I'm like, oh man, that shit, it was all part of the journey. So if something was to happen tomorrow, I want to adapt the personality of my future self instead of my present self, looking at it like something is. I want to be the future self and be like, this shit is just part of the movie. You know what I'm saying? So I learned to do that just to kind of change my perception about, like you said, when things arise, because when things arise, depending on how you view them, depends on how bad or not you will experience it. So I'm glad you said that.
And that's detachment. That means when this is happening in the moment, you're deciding to expand into a broader view and just accept this is temporary, but I know at some point in the future, this will be irrelevant. It's the art of detachment.
It's like if you get a flat tire while you're driving on the highway and you just decide to start laughing and you pull over and start watching a movie on your phone versus if you just go crazy and you're crying and you're screaming and you're frantic and panicking. it's two, both of them are the same, but depending on how you reacted to it will change your future, I guess. It's a magnificent way to live.
Really quickly, I want to share a technique that I learned that has saved my life. Basically, like probably 10 years ago, I learned this.
Yeah.
When things go wrong, if you look at it as a gateway or an avenue into new possibility, you will shift timelines and experience a different outcome of that thing going wrong. So let's use the example you talked about with, like, if you get a flat tire, right? If I get a flat tire, and this is literally what I would do today in my life. If I got a flat tire, I'd be like, this hasn't something like this haven't happened in a while. What is the universe trying to do? Something like this hasn't happened to me. Or the fact that this is going wrong in the moment. Maybe somebody who's going to pull over and help me is an investor that I need in one of my businesses or projects. Or like, if you start dreaming and thinking that way, that what if this is just the gateway to something else that I can't see, then the universe will play that game with you, and the entire experience will morph into something else.
Right. Wow. What's your thoughts on what being in this realm and feeling, I guess, what they would call, some people would say arrogant, or some people say you would think you all that, you have a high self-value system, versus what we were taught in terms of humility, being humble. Let's talk about those two concepts living in this realm, and what do you think is more beneficial for us?
You know what's interesting about this concept is that people secretly admire confidence, but are triggered by it simultaneously.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I want to use like somebody
Oh,
like
yeah.
Kanye West as an example,
Yeah.
or like Donald Trump, like these people who are just so radically confident, and there's a part of your soul that goes like, why are you that confident?
Right.
But then the part of you that's triggered because it's not the norm in our world goes, oh, they need to be more humble. But do they really? Do they really? If they have that level of belief in what they want to create, and that's how they choose to express that energy, if you were equally as confident in your ability to create your reality, would you care? Because I love winners. I'm gonna be honest. I love people that love winning. I love people who are obsessed with winning. I love people who are just so in alignment with that higher self that they're just obsessed with greatness. Can it come from ego? Absolutely. I think there's a difference between ego and passion is what we're getting at. I think when your confidence is an extension of your soul's passion, your soul's dharma, what you are here to create and do, that's a beautiful frequency, and you don't have to be humble. I just think the way that we think about being humble needs to change.
And I'm glad you said that. I'm very glad you said that. I've heard several people say this, successful people say this, and they said that, like, let me just use a rapper as example. Rapper was real good. He didn't get on yet. He didn't make it and become a successful rapper yet. And he said that his life changed and the direction of his career changed once he stopped looking at other people and said, damn, I'm better than them. How did they get on and I'm not on? And I feel like in this world, we do that a lot with whatever career that we're in. We may believe in ourselves and think that we're good, and we'll look at somebody that we feel as though is not as talented as us and say, how did they get on? They're not as good as me. How does Erin have this following? I'm better than, my stuff is better. And he said his life changed when he stopped doing that. And I've heard a lot of people say that once they stop looking at other people and questioning why the other person is, like, let's say a rapper, a TikTok rapper got famous and sold 10 million records overnight. A lot of rappers who have been working on their craft for 10 years may get mad and say, how did this dude blow up overnight? That's not fair. What advice would you give to people who tend to look at the world in that way, where they may see other people and say, they're not as good as me. That's
Right.
not fair. How did they get on?
Why them?
Yeah, why
You
them?
know,
Yeah.
it's not personal, it's vibrational.
Mm,
That person created, manifested, attracted that reality, whether you like it or not,
yeah.
based on their energy, their vibration. You don't know what they believe. You just don't know the background energy that makes up their frequency that would allow them to experience that reality. And instead of allowing yourself to be triggered into lack, because what you're basically doing is, well, they can have it, but I can't. You're creating separation, as opposed to going, there's an example, another example in my field that this is possible. And instead of creating competition with this reflection, you can actually use it to empower yourself. Well, wow, if it's possible for them, if Source can do that in their life, I know what Source can do in my life. But people have just this program of it's me versus them, which is why they if they see somebody else with something that they have, they feel like it was taken from them, as opposed to there's always room for more in the eyes of Source. So if you're upset that you're not up here talking to Rich right now, and you feel like you have some codes and you feel like you have some gems to share, lean into creating that reality for yourself, with not feeling like somebody has access to something that you don't, because that is the biggest illusion, is that somebody else can experience something that we can't.
All right. I've heard, let's talk about money real quick, Erin. What we call money, currency. I've heard, you ever heard of Reverend Ike before? Okay,
Absolutely.
so Reverend Ike, he always compares money, and other people have done this as well. He says money is a feminine energy. And they say money come from the word moon. That's where they get money from, moon. And the moon represents feminine energy. My question: if money is a feminine energy, it's a current. It's a flow. It's a current. It's that moon energy. Is that why in this realm men chase after it so much, so highly? They will kill, same way they would do for a lot of wars get started over women. Men would go do all types of shit for for that thing. So is that why men go after money so hard, because it's a feminine energy that we're constantly chasing after?
I see the parallel. The really, it's a feeling, right? The feeling that a man is going to get from a woman is going to be what you're going to get: fulfillment. There's going to be satisfaction. There's going to be love. There's going to be a nurturing. Money provides that same feeling in this reality when you have it, right? It can create freedom for you. It can create a sense of nurturing. It can create, well, some people will experience it as, I love money, or money loves me, and just attracting all this money. But it's more so about the feeling that people are looking to attract. It's an attachment to, I don't want to say attachment, because it's not negative or positive. It's really neutral. But in that aspect, men being motivated by money the same way that they're being motivated by women, it's because they're ultimately looking for a feeling of alignment, a feeling of coming into alignment with their own higher self.
Erin, some people, since we're talking about money and you start to think about careers and stuff like that, some people have strong desires to achieve things, to get the money, or just to be successful at something. So let's say somebody has a strong desire to be a successful doctor, or it could be anything. Once again, I could use the example of a basketball player or whatever, and they have a burning desire to do this their whole life. They've been talking about it since they were young, but they end up falling short. Now you have some people that don't dream big at all, so they, if they don't achieve things in life, they don't mind, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're just, they're just chilling. There's nothing wrong with that. Why would somebody come to this realm to have such a strong desire for something and fall short and not achieve it? Because you would think if somebody has this strong burning desire, It's a part of their soul contract, and eventually they're going to have to get it. So why have that burning desire and never end up achieving it or getting it in the first place?
This is usually soul contractual, or there can be things that this person they're doing that's blocking the manifestation of what they were intended to have, what should have happened.
Right.
And then maybe the energy can show up differently. So how I'll explain this is people who have a burning desire to do something, it's usually encoded in their soul blueprint that that's a part of the mission that they need to carry out, which is why other people, they're kind of like, I'm content just having like a regular job and doing the regular thing. And maybe this incarnation for them is more so about family. It's not about being some great athlete or speaker or whatever it's going to be. But the failure part is also a part of their contract, meaning let's say they're balancing out energy from, let's say they were ultra successful. For some reason, I'm getting the example of Mansa Musa. Like, let's just use that as an example, someone who is wealthiest man on the planet. And then let's say his next incarnation, he struggles with holding on to money. He fails at becoming prosperous or financially successful, but it's a theme in his life to keep trying to manifest that. Right. Typically, this has to do with the karmic balance of the soul. So there could be things that he did to get that money. There could be lessons that he didn't learn associated with that level of wealth, or maybe the level of wealth was generated from ego. And so now the soul wants to balance that energy and relate to money in a different way. So it depends on our contracts. It depends on what our soul is trying to balance. Typically when there's that desire and then that failure, and it's like, well, why didn't it happen? Maybe you're just learning also how to let something go. Or maybe you were attaching your worth and your value to needing that thing, but your soul actually wants you to be at peace with not having it. And then typically you might get it or get something better once you learn that lesson.
Indeed. Wow. That's interesting. Y'all getting some gems here. I hope y'all
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope y'all taking this. This is not entertainment, y'all. This is some serious stuff that's being talked about here tonight. Very serious stuff.
Right. Like somebody says they wanted to make the NBA. I see that a lot with my clients who are like, well, I did everything. Like I worked so hard. I don't understand why I didn't go to the NBA or the NFL. And then when we go into the energetics or the soul contract, is usually something that they needed to learn. But then their soul's going to give them another opportunity to experience success via a different avenue.
Very interesting. A different avenue. Wow. Okay. But since you bought a basketball, I was watching a live you did earlier. I was preparing energetically. Like sometimes before I have a show to prepare energetically, I'll watch a video from the person I'm about to interview because I could connect with them. You know, since we're not in person, you know, if I'm in the music, I do music. When I'm in the music studio, I'm able to connect with the artist and I'm able to do a beat based off their energy. But in order for me to feel the person I'm interviewing energy, I'll watch their show, or I'll go on their Instagram, or I just have to see something of theirs, then I can connect with them stronger. And I seen you did something, you said something that I resonated with. I was like, yo, that's deep. You was talking about basketball, and you was like, you watch basketball interviews and stuff like that, and you use the analogy of a slam dunk.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty much what we're trying to accomplish. And if anybody watches my channel on a regular, I always use references to basketball. And I'm gonna tell you, it's wild, Erin. Yo, in my imagination, like when I get deep into my imagination or meditation, sometimes my strongest meditations, let's say I'll give you an example. Let's say if I want to some wild shit. So let's say I want to have a good interview with you or whoever, and I want to ask great, amazing questions. I will picture myself as an NBA basketball players passing, making like Magic Johnson, making behind the back passes, because I look at myself as a point guard and I'm passing y'all the ball so y'all can dunk it. So
Right.
I would imagine that I'm like, yeah, Magic Johnson in that game he did this, or Kyrie Irving in that game, and I'm imagining basketball, but I'm really thinking about interviewing somebody, and I use this technique so much
Wow.
I can't tell nobody because they'll be like, that shit don't make no sense. But when I heard you say it, I said I'm gonna bring it up to her because she's gonna know it do make sense. So talk to me about like,
yes.
yeah, just expound on that for me, please.
You're basically using your imagination to capture the frequency of how you want to feel. And so in your mind, if you can relate the feeling of having the best interview and asking the best questions to um making the perfect pass or whatever it is, you're just capturing the feeling. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
our imaginations are so infinite. We can use anything to create a picture or a scene that helps us embody the energy. So every time you do that visualization, what I'm hearing is that you are training your body to be in sync with that feeling, which is why you will manifest a really good interview or be receptive to receive the questions that you're going to ask somebody. How I like to see this, like how I see my relationship with source is like an alley oop where source is, it's kind of similar, like is always gonna pass me the ball so I can make that slam dunk. Like
Yeah.
that's how I see co-creation with the universe. It's like the universe always just wants to give it to me so I can have my moment of just like dunking it in the basket. And
Yeah.
that feeling to me is what every single really amazing manifestation in my life feels like. It feels like a slam dunk.
Right. Wow. That was amazing to hear you say that. And I guess all of us, Erin, maybe all of us got to find our ultimate permission slip, like what Shaw said, because that's one of my ultimate permission slips to tap
Yeah.
in. So I guess we all got to figure out what's our ultimate permission slip to really tap into that feeling, like
To
you
that
said.
feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Let's get to we're about to be up to the hour mark. I want to get to a couple of questions. You got time for a couple of questions, Erin?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's get to a couple of questions and then we're going to get out of here. Absolutely magnificent show. And before we get to the questions, tell them how they could reach you for I don't know if you still do readings, or I know you do different workshops and different things like that. Tell people everything you got going on so they could get in contact with you.
For right now, you can visit Erin Lyons official.com. I'm not doing any channeling sessions right now just because I just need a break from
Yeah.
connecting with people one-on-one. So I've actually been taking a break from that for like the last 2 months or so. Probably won't be available for another few months, but there are some other things, mainly courses right now. Pretty much everything is like closed because I'm just in preparing to be a mom mode. But yeah, check out my courses.
Indeed. All right, let's get to a couple of questions. And shout out to everybody in chat. Y'all enjoying this. We got about 2,000 people in the chat tonight. Let's start out with a couple of super chat questions. Shout out to everybody who sent a super chat. Let's see this last one I see. How can you remember your past lives?
So your past lives are gonna present themselves if it's relevant for you to know that information. Even when I'm working with people and they ask me, I want to know about this or that, and um the soul will say, well, if it's not relevant, we don't need to talk about it. The only information that will actually present itself are the lifetimes that are immediately connected to let's say a lesson, a theme, or a cycle that they're struggling to break in this incarnation. So, if you want to remember a past life, couple of different things. Um, okay, interesting. Things that you really like or are interested in give you hints into your own Akashic records, or you just go to a reader or a channeler or somebody who can tap into that information for you.
Erin, let me ask you this. I hear a lot about past life regressions. I know you're aware of Dolores Cannon, and she did a lot of past life regressions with people. And we're also aware that time is cyclical, not linear. Have you ever tapped into a future life of yours instead of looking into the past life? Have you ever tapped into what might be a future life of Erin Lyons?
Not necessarily a future life, but a future timeline. So I have future versions of myself that will contact me, like future versions of myself on Earth that will contact me to give me information that I need to become the person that I'm here to be. And that's sort of just, I mean, for me, since I'm just psychically open, it just happens. For those who are wanting to do that, just go into a meditation and you can just set the intention. I'm open to receiving information from my future self that is in relevance to what I need to know right now. And because we're multidimensional beings, these higher soul aspects can communicate with you.
Okay, we got a real popular question. A lot of people always ask about this, Erin. Once again, how do we do shadow work, and how do we truly look within for answers?
The easiest way to do shadow work is to ask yourself questions. The more you ask yourself questions, you start understanding what you've been subconsciously hiding from yourself. A question that I would ask is, what am I afraid of? Who am I angry at? That's a big one. Who am I angry at? Who have I not forgiven? Those types of questions are going to give you insight into behaviors or emotions or just how energy is showing up in your life. So ask yourself questions. Very simple.
All right, Erin, next question. Do you need a woman to align any of your chakras?
Personally, no. I don't know what this means.
I guess you know how they say the the combination of the masculine and feminine is like a complete. That's, you know, God divided itself into masculine and feminine. So I guess they're asking, you know, when the masculine and feminine combine, you know, will that, you know?
Well, each one of us are masculine and feminine energy. Even if you're being dominantly expressed as a male or a female right now biologically, the feminine and the masculine energy is still operating within your system. So you don't necessarily need, let's say, a woman or a man outside of you to become fully integrated in your own being. You can do that on your own, through your own. This is more so about Kundalini energy rising from the base of the spine and reaching different areas in the body, thus allowing you to activate each of your chakras. You actually do that through your own consciousness and your own vibration. Nobody else is required.
Okay. Let's get to somebody wants to know, do we choose our zodiac sign before we incarnate, or is that given due to our vibration?
Your soul absolutely chooses your zodiac. I'm hearing this as a clue or a hint. So if you look at a birth chart, right, it's a snapshot of the stars at the time that you were born. So
Right.
that gives you insight into karmic cycles, themes, patterns, characteristics of yourself. But what I want to highlight with astrology and just zodiacs and all of that stuff is you can ascend outside of beyond your birth chart, meaning you can reach a point where that snapshot no longer holds as much significance and relevance as it did when you were born. Like if you have evolved beyond the themes and the lessons that are associated with that particular zodiac or your, you know, the particular setup of your birth chart.
Yo, shout out to my brother Dre, man. This is a regular supporter of the channel. Dre wants to know, so is it possible that I contractually agree to have a hard time finding a woman that is conducive to my life and who I am? God is getting tired of going through women. I'm getting too old for this. Dre.
So,
oh man.
We'll look at this in two ways. On one end, it is a contractual agreement, but set up for you to overcome it. What just tuning into your vibration, mainly what I feel is the beliefs that you hold around the availability of this type of woman that you're looking for. So right now, the core belief is the type of woman that I want who has this, this, and this doesn't exist. Okay. Right. So what does reality keep showing you? That she does not exist. So if she does not exist, she's not going to exist. It's simply a matter of shifting into, okay, source, my higher self, however you want to relate to this, can already see the woman that is a perfect vibrational match to me. Okay, you have another belief that I just want to help you clear right now, which is you're questioning if it's meant for you to be in a partnership just because it's taking so long. Every single person here has a soulmate because humans are designed to be in relationships. So we could let that one go. You're going to shift into the timeline where this woman can reveal herself to you by stop playing into the idea that she doesn't exist. Because right now you're more so focused on all of the women that you've met that do not have the qualities that you're looking for. And that is your dominant frequency right now on the topic.
Indeed. This is a real fun show, y'all. This is super fun.
God is tired of going through women. I'm getting too old.
Oh man, that's hilarious. All right, so the next question is, and I've heard this before. This is a good one. Why is it that people in present time remember who you were before you tend to notice who you are?
I think I know what you're asking by this, but what I'm getting is, okay, how I'm seeing this is, when you come across somebody that you haven't seen since like high school or middle school or something like that, and you're like, oh, hey, you run into them.
Yeah.
And for a minute, it's like it takes your brain time to remember who they are. It's actually because you quite literally are different. Like you have shifted so much through the quantum, so much through parallel versions of yourself, that the information actually has to be downloaded into your consciousness to remember who they are, because you really don't remember who they are.
Indeed.
I hope that makes sense.
Indeed. All right. Shout out to Love. Let me know if that what you meant with the question, Love.
Yeah, let me know if that's what you were going for.
You know what I think? I think what they were going for, Erin. I think they were going in like, let's say 7-year-old Erin, right? You're 7-year-old Erin, and somebody says, wow, you will be you have a great connection with the spirit world. But at 7, you don't know you have a great connection in the spirit world, but you don't figure that out to 12. And by the time you turn 12, 13, 14, 15, you're like, how the hell did that person know when I was 7? And I didn't figure out till I was 15, 16.
I see. Those are typically soul family or even twin flames in your life who are meant to give you an activation or to implant like a hint. It's like a code. So then when you grow up and you start pursuing your purpose, or your purpose starts being revealed to you, you will go back in consciousness and you will remember, oh, it makes sense why this person said this to me and this happened. You see, like, our souls are always leaving clues and hints. Always.
Through people, places, and things, huh?
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, this is a hell of a game we playing, y'all. Somebody keeps asking, where's this question? Is Saturn Osiris going to return to Earth? Do you know what they? I don't really. Y'all keep asking. I don't ask that question 20 times in the chat. I'm trying to.
I don't. If you're referring to a certain deity type of energy, what's coming through is there are already fractals of this soul group. It's not like a specific singular energy. It's more so fractals of this energy that are already incarnated through different spirits, through different souls that are here.
Okay. Let me hold up. Is it y'all asking some real? Give me a second. Give me a second. I see something. Where's that question? Somebody keeps telling me to ask James Williams question. Who is James? Where's this question that y'all keep telling me to ask? I think I've seen it. I think I know what they're talking about. All right. Give me a second, serious. Give me do you see that question, Erin?
I'm looking for it. James Williams. I don't see it.
All right. Well, let me ask this question. Somebody wants to know: is it possible to regenerate the spine? I know in the material world they say it is not possible since all things are possible and we are divine omnipotence. I'm asking this from this perspective.
Yes, absolutely. Cellular regeneration or regenerating body parts. Okay, the image that comes into my psychic vision is certain animals in nature that can like regrow a tentacle or something like that. The human body has just is dormant in those particular programs and instructions for that to happen via just the density and the dormancy of the DNA. So really what cellular regeneration is cells or consciousness themselves, right? So connecting to the cellular consciousness to program itself to reproduce. It is just simply a dormant program is how I'm seeing this. But um if you wanted to tap into some quantum healing, all that will be required is you can go into a meditation, connect to the consciousness of the cells, the consciousness of um whatever's making up the particular part of the body that you're wanting to heal, and you will give it instructions and programs, new instructions and programs to heal itself. And it can, if you believe that it can, because you will quantum shift to the parallel timeline and version of yourself where your body is able to heal.
Indeed. All right, we're gonna do 2 more questions and then we're gonna get out of here, family. Somebody wants to know, do we have permanent cosmic names? If so, how do we learn it?
There is a sound frequency translation of your oversoul. That's the best way I can explain it. And that would more so be the permanent name of the tone that you are. However, we're always expanding and changing. So even that is not really permanent. It's more beneficial to be less attached to names in general and to identify as the I am.
Indeed. Indeed. Let's get to this last question, Erin. What are your thoughts? This is another question that's very popular. What are your thoughts on healing from family trauma, but still being very close to them?
You want to do this in steps and stages. First step is to acknowledge your own pain. If we try to jump immediately to, let's just say, compassion. Well, I understand that they were operating in unawareness and they didn't know what they didn't know, but you try to bypass your own emotional suffering, it won't work because that energy is still in your body. Those emotions are actually also consciousness. They're alive. They kind of have like they are their own being. And so all of that energy, it really can morph into almost like entities, and that energy is attached to you. So acknowledge your suffering. How I typically recommend this is you want to write a letter where you allow your inner child to step forward, not to give to them, just for yourself. You want to write a letter that allows you to express everything that you were unable to say or that you would never say to them and that you cannot say and you did not say. What you're going to notice is you have all types of things coming up that you never actually acknowledged. Then when you acknowledge it, you can forgive the experience because truly you've chosen them. You've chosen them to play a certain role for the benefit of your own expansion and their expansion. So you can forgive yourself for forgetting that they were playing a role, and you can also forgive them for forgetting as well. Acknowledgement, forgiveness, and then acceptance. Accepting that they are who they are. And this is where most people struggle. It's like, well, I'm expanding into higher consciousness and I want my whole family to be on board. Okay, that's probably not going to happen. But if you accept them for who they are and where they are, what will actually happen is when you spend time with them, you will activate the version of them that you can enjoy and experience love with. If we need people to change so we can experience the light in them, then we're being conditional. If we allow people to be exactly who they are and where they are, we will actually experience more harmony within our dynamic with them.
Got to get to this last one, Erin, real quick. I sent an infinite God a shout to her. I didn't see you. Sent super chat. Congrats, Erin, on your expansive life. Beauties always. Can you expand a little on handling loneliness many people feel during this journey? Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, this is a good one. It's a very real part of this journey. And what I would say is, when you feel lonely, lean into the mastery that it's creating for you. Meaning, lean into relationship with self, because then you'll actually get to the point where you enjoy your own energy so much that it doesn't really make a difference if people are around or not. Obviously, we're having a human experience, so there's always going to be a social element. But if you're having let's call it a phase of loneliness, right? Because this is not meant to last, but there are phases of loneliness that are there for a reason, because it's pushing us into deeper relationship with ourselves, and it's allowing us to hold our own, so to speak, without needing the constant energy fuel from so many other people.
Indeed. So Erin, so I know, because you're so tapped in, is an experience with a spirit or an entity, however you may experience that through clairvoyance or whatever, is that as fulfilling as a phone conversation with a friend on the phone? Like, do you get the same, does your body get the same level of fulfillment from that versus a phone conversation?
Okay. How I'll put it is, you have souls here who are higher realm beings, meaning the degree to which they need social interaction is different. Like, everybody doesn't need the same degree of social interaction. For me personally, I put them on the same level. Like, the interaction that I get with spirit is fulfilling, but I'm also a very social being. I'm a Leo, so I'm very social butterfly, very talkative. Like, I feed off of the energy of connecting with other people. So I personally need both. But I've met individuals who actually do not need that. And it's just the way their soul's energy is set up. The human interaction for them is actually very uncomfortable. You'll see that with a lot of star seeds, people who may even be on the spectrum a little bit, indigos, a lot of indigos. Human social interaction is actually uncomfortable for them. So they do appreciate more that degree of separation. But I can see how someone would be fulfilled in mostly connecting with spirit. But for myself personally, absolutely, I want the phone call. I want the tea. I want to have the conversation. It also depends on, this is how I'll put it. Some people are not really having fun here on Earth. It's not fun. If I'm not having fun, the last thing I want to do is connect with someone else. So it can actually be escapism as well, to go, I only want to just channel. I want to stay locked up in my room and I just want to connect with spirit, or like do my tarot or whatever. That could be a form of escapism, because you haven't learned how to be human. Most of the star seeds and indigos here, a main part of your contract is to actually embrace being human.
Very interesting. Wow. Embrace being human. Wow. So not embrace being a god, but embrace being human, you saying?
Yeah, because for a lot of people here, you've already been in the higher dimensions. But then when you come here, it's like, the way that humans interact, it's so different, right? We're coming from places where we're dealing with telepathy and group consciousness, and it's so different. And some people really struggle. But the whole idea is that you wanted to come here. And I love how this is full circle in the conversation. Why do we come to Earth? You wanted to come here so you could have the experience of being human. So it might be uncomfortable for you to make friends. It might be uncomfortable for you to be that social person, but you want to lean into that. because your soul wanted that experience. It's something that's unavailable in the dimensions that you've been primarily residing in for a long time, which is why a lot of beings want to come to Earth. They want the experience of eating a slice of pizza. They want the experience of going to a basketball game. They want the experience of listening to a rap album, because it's a frequency that is not available in the higher dimensions. So lean into being human. I know a lot of us want to get out of here, but true mastery is when you have found a way to absolutely love being here and everything that it comes with, including the drama.
Wow. What a show, family. I want to say thank you once again to everybody who's tuned in tonight, all 2,000 of y'all. Erin, once again, leave your contact info, please, man. I want them to holler at you and get the help and assistance that they need. You know,
I want to say thank you to King Simon. Thank you so much for just sharing my website and my Instagram. I'll drop it one more time here really quickly. It's just www.erinlyonsofficial.com. Like I said, most things are kind of closed right now.
Yeah.
Just because I'm taking a break, but courses, tap into those.
Indeed. Hey, with that being said, once again, Erin, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Congratulations with everything. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Instant classic show. This show was a classic. Everybody enjoy your night. Erin, you enjoy the rest of your night. See everybody tomorrow. Peace, family.
Bye, guys. Much love.
All right.